creating one of these starships for a movie or for a television show, you know, all these are details that someone spent a lot of time on. They, you know, reviewed what they wanted to put into a starship, what a starship needs theoretically to travel across great distances, and in some cases time, if you will. But it's a nice little diagram, shows where we're going. In this update, we're going to run through a lot of the masking. That's primarily what we're going to do here in update number 5. Show some of the masking, and then some of the paint, and then finally some of the recovery from some of the paint masking. And you know, that's something we will have to deal with, of course, but we'll look at it and move from there. So hold on to your seats. We're going to take off for update number 5 of the USS JJ Enterprise. Thank you. Okay, so I'm using, get my glasses on here so I can see. Hey, welcome to the Sloppy Modeler. Welcome to update number 5. And we've made some pretty decent progress on the USS Enterprise NCC 1701 into Darkness, the JJ Prize. Just a real quick update. I've got the hull. Primary hull has been painted with its base coat, and that actually looks pretty good. A few touch-ups to do here. This gray, dark gray ring has been already painted in and then retaped and then ready to go. My next step, and then the sensor bands have been painted in and now they're taped off. So when I peel that tape off, the sensor bands will be underneath that. Next step would be to mask the lower hull with the Aztec dummy into Darkness Mask. Same thing with the upper hull, mask that and get its next coat of Aztecing on it. So that is really in the works. All the other parts are in the paint booth. The secondary hull is primarily done, but I wanted to show you take a pause here for a second. I wanted to show you the difference in these masks here, and this is the one of the masks for the secondary hull. So I was confused. I thought that this would be completely hull matching as far as shape and size, and then I watched Lou's video series, and he's got about a 26-part video series on producing the Star Trek Into Darkness mask from 6 years ago. So he'd been at it a long time. But essentially, really what this is more of almost like a set of cardboard templates, because what you do is you take out all the pieces that are in it, and there's a piece there. Of course, I don't think you're going to be able to see it under the light, but there's a big square piece here to go against the side of the hull. And then Lou just took a couple pieces of tape so he could hold it, and then hang it against the hull, and then spray through it. So to do that, you have to pull all those parts off, and as you can see here, I've pulled all of these pieces of tape off in the recent past, as I did the nacelles and the secondary hull. And it is kind of a patience practice, right? So you just grab them and peel them, and once they're peeled off, you've got the ability then to spray through them after a little bit of prep work. So in this mask set, there is this long piece here for the nacelle. I've actually done the other one, and that is done and completed. So in the spray booth, the nacelle is drying right now, along with the secondary hull, at least the lower portions. This piece here that I'm working on is going to be the secondary hull on like near the neck and up near the strong back. And if I can get that done, that'll make a big difference as far as how close we are to completing this model. It's been kind of a long slog, if you will, just because I've not worked with these before. But I will say I am getting more and more used to it and the hang of it. And honestly, I think in the future I wouldn't be opposed to just taking like some fiberboard or cardboard and cutting out some pieces and making some custom masks that way, because that's really all you're doing here. Or even Frisca tape and just scan maybe a set of masks like this, scan it, and then print it onto some Frisca paper, and then you're off and running. So I just wanted to show you what we were up to as far as that portion of it, of how you're going to use those, and I'll come back to you in a bit, show you some more as we get more progress here. See you in a bit. All right, hey, again, a little quick update here just on the progress I just made. So what I did, according to Lou's instructions, pulled all the interior mask out, and then I just took a couple pieces of tape, a blue piece of tape on this side, and this side gives me a handle to hold it on to. And then what the key is that you would put this against the secondary hull and then spray through it, and that's going to give your different mask. Now, Lou did an awesome job with his build, and way beyond what I'm ever going to be able to do. But what I saw him working with is that he would stick these masks on and then do a whole base color, and then he would do it again with a whole different color, and he's got like a 3 or 4 or 5 layer paint job. I am just using 2 color. It's very subtle, just 2 different colors between the base paint and then the spray-on mask that I'm doing, or the spray-on highlight color for all of these Aztecing. So that's what that looks like. And then again, you just got the tacky on that side. You just put it on, shave it down, spray it, and I was able to move these around. I did, like I said, on the nacelles, I did the long one, which with this one here, basically just place it in there, peel it up, move it to a different spot, and spray again. You know, you may want to take your time, put it on there, spray it, and then peel it, let everything dry, and then peel it up. It's your choice, but it's a pretty fast way to do the Aztecing after you've made just your little templates here come together. So we're going to go do some spraying, and then we'll be back with you. Thank you. All right, hey, welcome back. Just a quick set of reviews here. This is what Lou was demonstrating. Basically just tacking this to the side of the hull, on the secondary hull. And like I said, I'm only using 1 layer of additional paint. And this really is going to be nice. So essentially I'm just going to take my darker paint and spray right through. You can see that I've got the secondary hull pretty well masked and Aztec. All across here, across that is done. The last 2 pieces are this neck. That's actually been masked and sprayed over, so that'll come out really nice. This side has been done, and I do need to do just a light blending coat of just straight white here. But that's how I'm going to do it. Just put this, tack this on, spray it, let it dry, peel it off, turn it around, and then do this side. So I am really, really excited about the Aztecs that are on there. I don't know if they're going to show up on camera, but boy, I'll tell you, for my first attempt, I'm excited. I think that's gonna look pretty good. Here's the saddle, and that's really my first attempt here at the saddle, and those have turned out. I got some blotches there, and that happens, and I might actually retouch that up a little bit. But this saddle portion turned out awesome, so I'm excited about that. On the nacelles, I've got this top cap has been done as far as Aztecing. We've Azteced back here to the lines. This is going to get those scallops that are in Lou's mask, and then here is just, and again, I don't know if it's coming up on camera, but I hope so. Essentially, this has all been masked up here to the front, and I have to do one more little shot here with the little tiny mask, and then this side and top will be done, and then I'll have to do this side here and a little bit on the bottom. So that is what the nacelles are starting to look like from a masking perspective. So that's the progress on the Aztecing, and I should have this Aztecing done before the end of the day today. It's Sunday here, October the 13th, I think it is. And so we're moving ahead. Like I said, the secondary hull, I'm super excited about. I think it came out fantastic for my first attempt at doing this, and regardless, we're going to continue moving forward, and we'll be back with some additional updates here in a bit. Thank you. All right, hey, welcome back to the Sloppy Modeler. I have been hard at work, as you can see. Here is the masking for the lower hull. This right here has been taped off. That's the darker gray line, and the rest of this has been taped according to Aztec Dummy Lou Del Maso's program on the bottom. And then the sides have been done with the phaser strips, as I mentioned, are complete, and now we're on the top, and I have completed all of this section. Take about 6 or 8 hours, maybe 6 hours total so far, and I've got probably another 30 minutes to go here. So I ran into a quick issue with my process using my frisket tape, in that that Lou is very economical with his masking, and so as a result, rather than giving one of these wedges to equal one of these wedges equals two of the wedges, and as a result of that, you'd have to peel off each individual wedge and place it in one section, and then you would have to then use your frisket tape and lay in that piece of the masking on the other side, which is a big challenge, right? Because I wouldn't know where these get placed, because you typically place them odd, even, odd, even, odd, even, all the way up to the top. And because I couldn't do that, instead of just peeling off the odds and evens and then using the frisket tape, you have to use, because there's only, again, one wedge is equal to two pieces. He did give you an extra wedge, I'll grant him that. Oh no, maybe not, because I'm going to have these two, and then I'm going to have the two at the bottom, or at the back. So there's not even an extra wedge per se when you're all said and done with this. They've got these wedges here which maybe go there, so I'll have to look at that. But again, this has really slowed up the process. So I mean, essentially what you've got, and I'm not going to try to do this while people are watching, because it's hard enough to focus without having to speak and do this at the same time. Needless to say, basically it's the same old, same old. You peel up a section and paint it down. It has gone pretty well with these really, really sharp tweezers. Essentially, I'm able to just come in here, pop that off, and now that piece is ready to go on wherever that goes next. So that is the update on the masking. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what are these two wires here? Well, if you remember, I had 4 lights that are going to shine down onto the registry, and somewhere in the process I lost 2. Now, because I have this is open still through the neck, what I did is I went through those holes again and fished a wire, and then what I'll do is I'll connect another SMD and then fish that all the way through and then wire it in the back. And once that's wired and completed, then I'll have 4 lights again. But I'm not going to do that till after I paint. I figure I might as well paint rather than masking off those lights. It does look pretty sharp with the lights lit up, but for the most part, I am just about ready to throw on a coat of the overall white over the top of this for the Aztecing. I do have to tape off this or mask off this, and I think there's a piece for that. And then we'll go to the detail painting once that's done, because again, I've got the hull done, the nacelles are done as far as all the Aztecing, and quite honestly, I really like the way that those turned out. Just a quick shoot with your gun, and you've got Aztecing on those, just shooting through that. Now I do have to do the scallops there and the scallops on the other piece in the back, and then you can see here on the secondary hull we've made a lot of progress. The next step is to close that up, and then deal with some of these other pieces to finish it up. But we're slowly but surely plodding along and making progress with this particular USS Enterprise NCC 1701 Into Darkness JJ prize. So I'm going to continue with this, and I'll come back to you when we've got this all masked so you can see what this looks like in the end. And once that's done, then I'm going to come back to you, and we will shoot it with the white, and then come back and peel all of this masking off, and then go into the detail painting. So for now, I'll leave you with much more of my fun, which is the masking, and we will continue to progress. Thank you. Alright, hey, welcome back. As you can see, we're just starting to pull the mask off, and essentially I think I am pretty excited about what we're looking at here. So using my handy dandy set of inverse tweezers that have kind of a sharp edge but a rolled up edge, I can basically come underneath that and pop that right off. And so far, I'm going to cross my fingers. You can see I'm pulling this off pretty quickly. So far I've not nicked my paint with these tweezers. And also I have not, although I'm doing well, I'm not also entirely stupid. I want to make sure that sometimes if I can't get it with the tweezers, I'll go in with Super Stanley knife here and pull up. But essentially I have not pulled up any paint yet. I'm just being careful I'm not just ripping the stuff up out of nowhere. And these tweezers actually make this pretty nice to go through that. So what you're looking at here is that this is the initial gray, dark gray line under there. And that turned out really nice now that we've pulled the tape and the mask off of that. It's got a really nice shade. It's also got a nice little sheen to it because I used pearl. I used the same pearl color with the starting with the wedding cake from Martha Stewart, and then added Pearl Eyes from Martha Stewart, and then I added Tamiya JN Gray. And that JN Gray, in my opinion, I just dumbed it down just a little bit. Like maybe this is 15% or 20% JN Gray, and then even a little bit lighter for the very initial piece of it. So none of this is primer. This is actually all paint under here. And then this, of course, is the same paint that I've been using for the hull, the secondary hull, and the nacelles for the gray Aztecing. And in my opinion, that's got a really nice sheen to it. The only thing I don't like, of course, is the paint bumps here as far as the paint lines. And that's okay. We'll work through that. I think what I'm going to do is just either do a coat of clear over this or a blending coat of white. But regardless, this has been kind of a real nice surprise how nice this has turned out, and also how kind of satisfying it is to peel off these vinyl pieces here. And again, that Martha Stewart paint underneath this has got a real hard coat to it. As you can see, I'm just kind of going at it here, popping it up, and you know, so that's a Martha Stewart paint for the light gray base, and it's a Martha Stewart paint for the dark gray. And like I said, so far I've had good success with these tweezers and good success with the paint underlaying it. And I only let it dry for maybe a day. I didn't give it, like a week or anything like that. This has been dry about a week maybe. But there you can see this again taking off those masks, giving me a really subtle Aztec. I didn't want a big giant contrast between the gray and the white. And for my intent, that looks nice. The top of the saucer, same thing in the back. You can see here where we've got really nice gray. And then the nice pearl white on top of it, wedding cake and Pearl Eyes. So I'm going to continue to go at this on pulling all these masks off, and then after the masks are off, I have to do the secondary hull as far as wiring, and I've decided what I'm going to do is wire up to the nacelles with extra wire and go all the way through the hull. That way I can close that up and close up that saddle, and I'll talk about that in a little bit later on an update. But for now, I'm going to have some more fun with my little tweezers here and pulling off these masks, and once these are all off, then we'll continue on. So for now, thank you for tuning into the Sloppy Modeler. Okay, hey, welcome back to the Sloppy Modeler. We are at the end of update number 5, running through the paint on the saucer section. Let's just start there, I suppose. That's the first thing we can do. So as you can see, the paint turned out just really fantastic. I do have 1 or 2 spots that I have to touch up due to my clumsiness, where I pulled up the paint with the tweezers, and that again was my fault, not a matter of the mask or the paint. It was just simply my sloppy clumsiness. But I'm absolutely thrilled with the way that this turned out. I'm amazed that it did turn out without more challenges. But that gray is just a perfect solution there. Not too overly gray, not too white, not too dark, and a nice blend across the entire base. This turned out fantastic. I did peel off one of the starting strips for the phaser strips. That's a real dark magnetic blue, and it might be too dark, but you know what? I like it. I think it looks fine for what I'm going to do here. I did have to replace a couple of lights up here, but once those turn on, they're going to just blow the stuff away in brightness, and hopefully in lighting up that registry and the name. On the secondary hull, I have been spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to do this. Essentially, my build order was way out of whack for wiring this. I was going to try to run these wires here out of the nacelles in through and down in through my secondary hull and through the tube that's going to go into the base, and that just wasn't going to work out. And so what I did is I actually built a wiring harness. It's right here. It's got all the wires, 3 hot and 3 neutral on the left port side, and then on the starboard side. You can see all of my shrink wrap hose here. But all that's been wired in, and then one wire I did the twist and pulled it, so it's actually one big 6-strand wire, magnetic wire, that's all the way through there. And so essentially what will happen is that now I can go back through with my saddle, and I can actually begin to glue that down, and I can epoxy, because it's going to take epoxy to do this. And once that's epoxied in there, then what I can do is come back in, once that epoxy's done, and start filling in these seams, because that's a big seam there, and there's going to be one back there. Another coat of light white spray, and then the overcoat of the Aztecing, and I've got the Aztec pieces to do that. And then once that's done, I can wire these wires here that now are out here and exposed. I can wire them up to these nacelle wires, cut those really short, wire them, and then epoxy the nacelles in using full epoxy. I really just didn't have a good way of doing that, but by doing that, building that wiring harness, now I can do this, do all the paint, then do that. That way I only have one seam, and that's that one there to work with. I'm really excited with the way that the space shuttle bay turned out. I got my little space shuttles in there. I've got light shining up through the bottom there, and then this light here will actually be the beacon light and the door. And I'm not going to put it in because that's kind of precarious at the moment, but essentially what will happen is that, see, it's a little precarious. That'll go in something like that, and it'll go in like so, and that'll be a blinking light on top. But that's the next phase after some of this stuff. I'm going to fill in. I've got light leaks back there, but I'm going to fill in around these gaps here and sand it with some needle files, and then just use my brush with color to paint that in. I'm not going to try and airspray that because that's just really tough. But I think that looks cool. I think that has got a neat appearance to it with the space shuttles, and there's more in there. You really have to look carefully, but that is what we've got going there. So, what a challenge, right? But we continually move forward, and we're definitely making progress. This turned out fantastic. I still have the mask on for this side piece, and I've got the front ready to put on. And then I also got this deflector dish done, and that turned out really nice. That's a piece of photo etch. That's the green strawberry photo etch over the front of that that I painted deep magnetic or electric blue. And with the blue that's in there, I think that's going to look really good once I plug all this stuff together and then get it glued up and touched up with some paint. So that is
in a nutshell where we've been. It's been kind of a long process here on this update number 5, but now I'm seeing at least a path forward might be the best phrase for it. We're a long way away. After I get this glued in and then done, we need to do the touch-up paint. I need to do a coat of blending, real light blending white over the top of the other one, and then start all the detail color and then all the decals once all that's in place. But for now, this is the conclusion of update number 5. We'll be back in update number 6 with this body work done, everything epoxied in, the body work done, and then we will begin the assembly of the 3 pieces. I think I'm going to do even as much touch-up paint and as much detail paint on the saucer as I can, so I don't have a bunch of handling with that. Same thing with this. We'll really try to make that go as much as possible, and then we'll come back to it. So for now, thank you for your subscriptions, your likes, your shares, your comments. Always lovely to hear comments out there in the comments section. Definitely helps me to learn as we go through this. I got my little lights on the bottom there that look pretty nice, with a flashing beacon here and a flashing beacon in the back, and then the lights in the side walls look really nice. And then I'm going to use my microcrystal clear to do the windows and all these, because they're really tiny, and I think they'll turn out okay from that standpoint. So for now, again, thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and share this video if you like it. And come back and visit us for update number 6 on the USS Enterprise NCC 1701, the JJ Prize from Into Darkness, the Star Trek release. Thank you.